Welcome back to the #1 fitness and health podcast out there. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. I'm Brett Russell here again with my co-host Josh Nolan. How you doing?
Good. We're all in Nova Scotia now, which is exciting. And today we have one of our teammates, Elyott Chang, absolute beauty, and he's going to have a good time with us today. Welcome, Elliot.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I've been waiting to be on this show. I've heard so much good things about it, so I'm excited.
Fun fact.
Elliot's fought pretty hard to be here.
Yeah, Elliot wanted to be like our first guest. When we put out our first teaser, Elliot was like, yo, I need to get on the show.
Yeah, I need to be on this. I need to be on this wave because I think it's going to be the next generation,
Yeah, and I hate to expose it, but then I sent him a text a couple of days ago or last night. Said, yo, you want to be on the podcast? He said, thought you'd never ask. Let's do it.
We've been planning on having you on basically since the beginning. So
really?
Yeah.
I'm honored. I'm honored.
First guest we wanted, so we're happy you're here.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm glad you could do this for me.
Glad you can do this for us, Bora. This is more for us. This is a fitness podcast. Can you tell the audience a little bit about your background in sport, your background in fitness, and kind of how it began to where you are now at cadia swimming?
Yeah, for sure. So I started off as a pretty chubby kid, when I was in grade 6, I was pretty overweight, and I hadn't found competitive swimming yet. And then that was the year I spent in Hong Kong. So 2011 to 2012, that was the year I spent in Hong Kong, and I got hella chubby there. But then when I went back to Calgary, I started competitive swimming, and that sort of made me realize the whole idea of being fit, physically fit for life, and being active and being stuff like that. And that's where I found the importance of it, was when I was 12. And that sort of began as I sort of developed this dream to be successful in swimming. And so I continued to really push myself and train. And I guess swimming became this sport for me where I could escape from normal life and put all 100% of my focus into training and stuff like that. And for me now, this sport has become much more than just a sport. It's something that I love. It's something that has literally shaped of me who I've become.
Yeah, for sure. Did you do any other sports growing up, or was swimming?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was a big basketball player as well. And for me, that was a big struggle choosing between basketball and swimming. And cause I was a pretty good basketball player as well. I started on my high school basketball team. And when I was going into university, I had to or grade 12, I had to choose between playing basketball or swimming. And at the end of it, obviously I chose swimming, but I still value basketball very much in my life.
Those are always the tough changes when you have to pick between one sport or the other, especially when you
Oh, for sure.
How did you go about making that decision to give up basketball to take on swimming?
Well, I knew for swimming I had a bigger future in it. Whereas basketball was still undecided, just because I hadn't been playing it as long, and swimming, my uncle went to the Olympics for swimming, so I guess you could say it's in my genetics that I'm a better swimmer than a basketball player, just because I'm not as tall, I'm not as quick, but in swimming I am able to for me it's much more of a natural movement for me in swimming.
Yeah, I hate to do this awkward transition for a sec, but talking about basketball, can we talk about the Raps game last night?
Oh,
real quick.
Oh my god. OT thriller. God.
Oh my god. I didn't think we had it.
Oh no, me too, dude. We were down by 10 at the first quarter, and then all of a sudden that was a
Kyle played.
It's actually been a way
minutes.
Funner series than I thought too.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Well, after we're down 0-2, I thought, okay,
yeah,
we'll maybe take one game if we're lucky, but then it's done.
No, but Celtics are good though. They're so good.
Yeah, they are nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I was super hyped last night. I was speechless the whole time. I want to get into that. Yeah. So yeah, you chose swimming, and swimming kind of built this fitness idea in your brain. So then is that kind of what gave you the idea of kinesiology, or were you kind of like me and you're sports kinesiology?
It's actually interesting that you say that, because over the summer I was able to connect with my friend who's I swam with for a very long time. His name is Lorenzo, and he goes to Western right now for swimming. Yeah. And he was originally going to switch into kinesiology because he didn't like his program very much. But then he told me something that really resonated with me. And he said that if I didn't swim, I wouldn't like kinesiology. And that really struck me. I was like, is that me? And I began to reflect on that. And I personally don't think so, because I think that like the human body, like just really in general, like is like really interesting to me. Like there's so many different parts of the human body that like that just like they all work together to make you, right? Like there aren't, whereas like other things, like it doesn't make as much sense because it's not yourself like that you're reflecting on. If in kinesiology, like you're learning stuff about yourself that you can further like apply to other places and apply to other people. So
yeah, that's a really good like thought that brought up, because like I feel like for me personally, what brought me into kinesiology was swimming, love of sport, all that stuff, blah 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 blah. But now that I'm in kinesiology, going into 4th year, I feel that I'm not in it now because of the love for sport. I'm in it for the love of kinesiology. You in the same boat, Josh?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Like it more opened the door and gave me like the knowledge to know where I wanted to go, which is into kinesiology. But then like now that I'm in it and are almost done, like I just love it for what it is and not because of anything to do with swimming anymore at all. Like my and Brett's swimming careers are basically done. So yeah, like I just love it for what it is. Do you have anything in kin that you're really, really interested in? Any kind of direction you think you're going in?
I love human physiology. Like human physiology is like probably my favorite course, and I just love like the science and like all the stuff that like is behind the human body and like performance and like having your body like operate at that like top level. I think that's like super cool, especially like blood doping and like performance enhancing drugs. Like that stuff is like super cool now.
Yeah,
and like I like
let's all do blood doping.
No, I was thinking about it, like maybe for like my 4th year, like I could
no, don't say that.
I'm kidding.
Maybe when you're a little older.
But like it'd be interesting to see that though still, wouldn't it? To see like how far you could push your body if you could like if you did like some illegal blood doping or something like that. I think that your body would like it'd be interesting to see like if in a controlled environment how your body would react and like how much faster or like better you could get. And that like still like
I think about like I've done a direct VO2 before.
Right.
And my VO2 is 72, which is like pretty high.
Yeah, that is.
And I just think about like if I was like 20% better, like I would literally be I could be like one of the best athletes in the world in terms of like VO2.
Right.
20% better. Which
is
insane.
But would you still be like, for example, like I know we both cycle and I know you're a pretty big cyclist. So like how would you think that would translate into your cycling career maybe? If you did blood doping?
I think I'd be pretty nice. I'd actually have to do a lot more time on the bike. To just be like technically better at biking, and then also like actually having the muscles to do it. Whereas like running is a lot more like natural to me, so it's a bit more translatable. Like the 72 VO2 I did was running. Like I push myself as high in biking because I don't have like the specificity from doing it long enough.
Oh, interesting.
I think PEDs are so fascinating. Like if you take them, don't take them, whatever, that's all completely your decision. But I feel like if you do choose to take them, you have to keep in consideration that try and get yourself to your very, very max first, like naturally, before you choose to take them. Because then it's just stupid. It's a waste. You still need to put in the work first.
Okay, we are not endorsing performance enhancing.
Can we have this debate?
But it's in discussion though.
No,
like
it's really it's a cool.
It's interesting for sure.
Yeah,
yeah. It's just not it though.
Yeah, because it is available out there. It's just like.
But then, if everyone used it, and there wouldn't be a ban, and they could control it safely.
You just have an arms race. Drugs.
Well, it's the same thing with like Speedo and like our Faskins.
But is it though?
On a lower scale.
Because if you do like EPO, you can have like 20% improvement, and it's not necessarily available to everyone in certain ways or how their protocol is. And then like a suit, anyone can wear a suit. Like it's actually like accessible.
Okay.
Well, like,
let's get back.
What do you guys think though? Like in terms of like swimming, like do you think you guys have reached your like absolute peak, like maximum in terms of like human physiology? Like in your own physiology, do you think you've like reached the peak? Like this is like the most optimal body type, like muscle development, like all those different kinds of things for swimming. Do you think that this is your peak, like in going into your 4th year?
Well,
or do you still get better?
Well, from the research, like what everyone says, that I don't have the info to back it, but doesn't guys peak in swimming like late 20s?
Yeah,
mid, 24 to 26.
Yeah, well, depending on your discipline too. But yeah, so just by that answer, no. But I don't think so. What do you think, Josh?
I think this is probably as good as I'm going to get. So this is like my actual peak.
Right.
But it's probably like not a true peak, because I think about like there's so many other things that I've done and been involved in school that have like absolutely run me to the edge and like made me, like I'm not always recovering optimally because I'm so focused on other things a lot.
Right.
So because of that, I think I actually didn't really give myself the full opportunity to be like the best I possibly could be. But that being said, I was able to do things like now we have a podcast and things like that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't like focused on other things. So yeah, life is more than just swimming to me, at least. So that's kind of, I don't think I'm really hit
And
like being like a real peak.
If you dumb it down to like we're student athletes, right? We're not full professional athletes, like Olympic athletes or anything like that. Student does come first. You're gonna stay up to 5 a.m. one night studying, or you're gonna be grinding out studying, doing everything, and then you're gonna get sick, have to miss a week of training. Life gets in the way, and I think the student athlete model works the best when you take a full approach to like life and not just your one sport.
I really agree with that statement. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I saw you texted me when we were trying to get this together. Can we talk about your plan and how you were able to go and lose 10 pounds?
Okay, so
was it you doing this? Did you get like a dietitian, or was it straight, I'm Elyott Chang, Kinesiology, I'm going to do it?
You know what? Honestly, like I've been learning so much about like the human body and like about like nutrition and stuff like that. Like even from like our own, like even from getting strength and conditioning from like someone completely different, like Elliot, like from going to high school into like an actual program where like you lift weights, you do dry land, you do stuff to like actually make you perform better. And that stuff has like really made me think in terms of like when I do workouts, like it's like more specialized until like in terms of like what I want to do. So for me, like having like a lower body fat percentage has been like really important to me, because I feel like if I was able to lose like even like 10% or like 5% of my from what I am right now, like my body fat, I think I'd be able to shave off a couple seconds in like my 200 IM or something like that. And that like those seconds mean everything, right?
Yep.
And so like my mindset going into the summer was to like do that. And I was able to do that, or I wasn't able to do that at the beginning of quarantine because like I was so lazy. But then I started picking up on road biking, and I became like huge on road biking. Like I did it every second day. And then on top of that, I would still like work out every single day, and like I would eat less. And so like probably like late July, I was like probably like the shreddest I've ever been ever. And I just like maintained that essentially till now.
Are you watching the Tour de France at all?
A little bit. Not like I didn't pay for it, so like I just
I'll send you a stream. I got you.
Okay, sweet. I'd love that. It's still going on right now, right?
Yeah. We're not even, or just finished the first week. There's 2 weeks left.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think that's super interesting.
How many weeks do you think it took you total to lose that 10 pounds? And then I'm going to follow up to that question. What did you find the results were happening faster when you were looking closer into what you were eating?
That's a good question. I would say I didn't actually start losing weight until like July. And like because I don't know, for some reason, like I had to get into the actual routine of like working out and like biking every day. And then that's when like in July, like I could like in August, like that's where like I found myself, I was pushing myself like physically to the max. Like, whereas like after taking such a long break from swimming and stuff like that, like I felt like my body wasn't used to that idea of like being sore and like being fatigued and stuff like that. So I had to like find myself mentally in terms of pushing myself. And then with the idea of like eating, like I'm not a great eater, if I'm going to be completely honest. Like I sometimes like,
I've seen your meal whole food.
Oh yeah, you guys have seen how I eat. Like sometimes it's like kind of gross, right? So like I really had to watch what I ate. So I added a lot more on the veggies to fill my stomach more. I ate less carbs, and if I was full, like that's when I stopped eating. Like I can't eat myself past when I'm full.
Yeah, that's really good. No, I just asked because a lot of the questions we get on this podcast about how do I lose weight fast or how do I do this,
Yeah.
how do I do this? This guy right here, Chang, is a great example of you have to stay with it, make sure you're staying active. If you're watching what you eat, lowering the calorie intake, you can lose the weight. It's not rocket science. It's
Oh
kinesiology.
yeah, for sure. And I still think I can lose more weight. Like I still think that like I'm not at my optimal
Mhm.
like body fat percentage. I still think it could be way lower.
Yeah, that's really cool. Another topic I got here. Our school is doing this little hybrid thing this year. So some classes online, some classes in person. Honestly, I don't even know how it works yet. I don't know what classes I have in person.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
How do you think you're going to handle online learning? And how are you going to adapt from going to class to doing the online? Because I know personally when I have these online classes in the summer that I do, I struggle to the very end to stay on top of it.
Right. Yeah, I'm sort of the same way. Like I love because like Acadia, like having that prof student relationship is like so important. And you guys know that best. Like you guys like Josh being you guys are in CSEP and like all these different like programs. Like you've had drinks with profs and stuff, and you know how that important that is building that relationship with a prof, being able to like talk to them face to face, like interact with them, say hi every day. Like that is super important. And like having that factor not in school normally just takes away from the experience like completely. And I think that like at the end of it, like it will be detrimental because every day you say hi to the prof remembers you, and like they're able to help you and do certain things for you and like make your life easier as hard as it is being a student athlete at Acadia. And I think that's like why I think that like I won't do as well this semester at Acadia, just because of not having that help there, not having that extra like social interaction with the prof, like just seeing it through the screen instead of being in person to the prof. But in terms of like actually learning the material, I think I'll like do all right. But there's just that extra like
It won't be a full experience.
exactly.
Josh,
It's
how do
hard
you
to
think you'll
build
adapt?
like friendships over email. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you think you're
Yeah.
going to adapt, Josh, to the online?
I haven't really thought about it much. I was just gonna do it, I guess. Just treat it like regular school. I think one of the nice things is I'm gonna have to stop running places and just sit down and hop to different Zoom calls. It'll be a bit easier that way. I think one of the real challenges is gonna be like kind of being confined. You know what I mean? Because you're instead of like me having to go somewhere and like having a mindset change when I walk into like a classroom.
Oh yeah.
Now I have to have that mindset change when I get up from my bed to my desk,
Yeah.
which is tough because it's not like the shift is odd.
Yeah. Oh,
So I think I'm moving my desk into another room at some point here. But
Yeah. I'm really happy too. When I got here, Tyler had like a desk ready downstairs, like a pretty big one that we can all work at when it's time. So I don't have to work in my room anymore. Because that's,
yeah,
if you're
that's
staying in your room the
probably
whole
what I'm
time,
gonna
it'll
do
just
too.
not be good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to touch on this or not, but the state of Acadia swimming.
Man, I was so upset when I heard that they weren't opening the pool, just because like after coming off such a successful season, I thought that like we would get at least like some amount of respect from like Acadia athletics, and because like you know how much they love Acadia hockey and stuff like that. I know that that's my own personal bias,
Mhm.
but it didn't feel like Acadia swimming was wanted.
I feel personally it's more above Acadia athletics and Acadia
Right.
University that made that decision.
Okay.
So,
Could you elaborate?
well, Acadia, it's a budget thing, right?
Right.
And at the state of the world, the Acadia University does not have as much money as it wishes it had.
Mm-hmm.
And so from my understanding, the general reasoning they had was the pool was just too much cost. So cut that program out. But then the problems come in when the town uses it, all these other things. So what are they're having meetings trying to discuss other options. I hope it opens. Not the most optimistic in the world about it, but I really hope it does.
I think it's important to remember to be really, really patient and understanding. Everyone's in a really tough situation right now. And those decisions will get made, and there's a lot of process that is happening right now. So I think it's important just to be patient and see kind of where the next few weeks take us. One of the options is it being ready for the 1st of October, which actually works out for
Yeah,
almost all of us because class starts the 21st. So that's only 10 days basically. So
that'll be really good. And then there's other options, like we're looking into pool space elsewhere and things like that. And we don't even know if there will be competitions next semester. So
Yeah.
things can change.
I personally don't.
let's talk a little bit about culture and kind of the swim team culture.
Okay.
We just won our own championship. You're a big part of that too. So do you want to just talk about kind of how you view it? How do you think is the best way to build it, and what's the best way to hold on to it, especially considering all the kind of turbulence we're about to have as a team?
Yeah, for sure. Coming from high school, like university swimming is so different from high school swimming, and you guys 100% can attest to that. Like the atmosphere itself is like equivalent to that of like a playoff game in like for basketball. Like that's the same feeling, and every meet's like that. And so like I fell in love with swimming like even more going to Acadia just because of like the culture that it is. Like everyone's like there's like so much camaraderie and like everyone's cheering for you and your team specifically. And I personally think that like this is unique to Acadia and like the East Coast. Like I don't think you could find this elsewhere, for example, like in the West Coast. This type of like culture that like each school provides like in its own like small community, like where you have like everyone's like tight knit and close with each other and like everyone has each other's backs. Like I think that's like so unique to the East Coast. And like coming here, I think that's like such a unique culture. And like building off that, like I know you guys, if you guys can remember last year at AUS, like I was pretty upset for most of the swim meet, but upset. I was upset at myself, like individually, I was upset, but we still won the men's title. And being able to like separate myself individually from that like unhappiness and like being happy for the team, I think just showed like how much like culture there is in terms of like being one as a team instead of being like training and like racing individually. If that makes sense.
Um,
Yeah.
I'll cut this part out if you don't want to talk about it, but do you mind discussing a little bit about your mindset at that AUS and kind of like the negative attitude you had? I'll cut it out if you don't want to talk about it.
No, it's okay. No, I'm totally open with this. So yeah, like this summer has actually like been like really recuperative in terms of like my mental like mindset and stuff like that, because I don't know if you guys saw me, but I was in such a negative state at AUS. Like my mindset going into like you guys could tell like my mindset like going into before races like was not healthy. And like fortunate enough for me, like I was able to talk to a sports psychologist and like my own prof Chris Shields about like this specific topic, and we talked through a whole bunch of like different kinds of expectations and like management of like stress and all those different kinds of things. And coming into this season, like I'm ready to go. Like I'm ready to be motivated, but like at the same time, I can't let little things affect my whole mindset and like in terms of like becoming consumed by like emotions of negative, you know. And
Yeah.
like for me, like dealing with that mindset of being like in that negative mindset is like super helpful to me, because I think I'm able to translate that into like other parts of my life later on when there's gonna be more and more challenges, more and more things that I have to face and like overcome.
Does that negative mindset come from the scared to improve at your best? Does it come from not feeling you're ready for the meet? Like where's that come from?
That's a good question. Like before going into the meet, I had this expectation that I would make U Sports, and I think that's like the first place where like I fucked up. Like I should not have expected to make U Sports in there, because I did so well at the Cadia meet here that I thought I was like for sure gonna make U Sports, and that's like the first place is where I went wrong. So like if I was gonna say anything, I think like manage my expectations correctly.
Yeah.
I think is like the correct word to use, because I did not manage my expectations correctly, if I'm going to be like honest. And I think that like is a huge thing for me. And like as well, going into the meet, I need to like have the idea that like anything is possible. Like It's not that like if I don't make U Sports, it's not the end of the world, right? Like it's not a huge deal if I don't make U Sports, but if I do, like then I have to. It's kind of like the quote, like prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Kind of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and a great way to do that too is those SMART goals. Don't just have a insanely goal. Okay, at this swim meet, I'm gonna make Olympic trials. No, at this
Right.
swim meet, I'm gonna do this, like, right, and then prepare accordingly.
Yeah, well, it's the same. It's the same thing with anything, right? And you learned that through like your journey through the 10 pounds. You learned that again through AUS. Like, it's about setting incremental things, and I think that that's a really good lesson that you've learned from this whole thing too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm still learning. Like, I'm not perfect. Like, and I know, like, when I get back to racing, like, racing has been like a huge problem in my life. I don't know about you guys in terms of like mentally. Like, I know, like, Russell Muscle, you sometimes like psych yourself out before a 200 free, or like, and like, not to call you out or anything.
Oh, no, and I'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember a certain swim meet when I was little, probably, I don't know, grade 6, grade 7, had an awful race, and I lost it after, just hid in the bathroom or something, and just started crying. It was like super bad race, like.
Yeah.
And it was too because, like, it was my first time in an individual sport where all the pressure's on you, and I think that's where that comes from for a lot of people.
Yeah, we're like not being able to like fully like understand your situation, and like, and then like just crumble to like the anxiety of like not being able to swim well or whatever, right?
Yeah, especially sometimes you get stuck in a rut. Like if you don't have one good race, then your next race is you're in your head about the first race. And one thing that I learned from a sports psychologist, Matt Harding, is that you just kind of have to forget about your last race and just treat everything individually.
Right.
You can,
Okay.
if your last race is good, if your last race is bad, you have like till the end of your warm down to think about it, and then you have to forget, like, no matter what, and just focus on the next thing.
And it's kind of like apples and oranges too, comparing individual sport to team sport. But in a team sport, if you're having a bad day and another teammate picks it up for you, then you're good to go. In an individual sport, if you're having a bad day, then everyone knows you're having a bad day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's your teammate's job to pick you up and make sure everything's okay. But again, it is at the end of the day individual, and it's your job to figure it out.
Oh yeah, I just agree with that.
We like to end each show with what everyone's favorite exercise of the week is. So we'll start with you, Josh. Give you a little time to think, Jane.
Single leg squats.
Single leg squats.
Any variation. That's the only thing I've been doing for 2 weeks. So.
What about you, Chang? What's your favorite exercise right now?
Right now,
Yeah.
honestly, it's been the hang clean. I love the hang clean. That's like my favorite exercise of all time. Like explosive leg power, and then combined with like upper body like coordination and like movement. I think that's like such a perfect exercise.
Cool. My favorite right now is.
We'll get you to 2 plates this year, Chang.
Oh yeah.
Crazy. I've just been experimenting with these guys a lot, just seeing what I can do with them, and
Oh, the tubes or the
just bands.
The bands.
Yeah. I got this one's called the Big Dog. It's kind of cool.
I had a question for you guys.
Yeah.
So where do you guys see like this podcast, and like you, Josh, you started a fitness company or like something along those lines, or like a blog channel or something like that. And then Russell Muscle, you have YouTube, you have TikTok, you have this podcast. What are your future plans and expansion for expanding this whole idea of like fitness, like advertising like fitness, you know?
Do you want to go first, Fred, or do you want me to take
No, I need you to go first for this one.
Okay, so I started Soupcan Fitness, and I was training a lot of people over the summer. And it's not officially rolled out yet, but I'm gonna put that on the shelf for the school year. I just got a scholarship from Cadia Performance Training to work again this year.
Congrats!
So that's gonna be primarily what I'm doing. I also am TAing for Phys 1 and Phys 2.
Okay.
So I think between all those things, I'm not really going to have enough time to focus on that and to do a really good job for my clients.
Okay.
So what I've done is I've just put it on the shelf, and then I'm still kind of helping people a little bit, but mostly I'm stepping away, and I might go back to it later, but who knows? Just want to focus on school and doing things right where my feet are.
Right.
The podcast is going to keep going. We're going to keep bringing people on. I think it's a lot of fun for me and Brett.
Oh, for sure.
And it's had decent traction on YouTube and stuff. And we've got a couple little secret projects that are in the works as well. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
great, especially in the summer. It's a great excuse to just call Brad,
Hang out.
So.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So my fitness thing kind of same boat as Josh. I'm kind of putting on the back burner over the school year, just too many stuff going on. But the clients I currently have, I'm making sure I'm keeping with them and not making sure they're just like out in the wind, just doing whatever. So I'm going to stay with them, but I'm closing down new clients for the time being, just as things get busy. The TikTok was just a fun excuse to get back into creating again. But then after I got comfortable with it, back to the YouTube. I don't know if I should say this publicly yet in case it doesn't work out, but screw it. I'll just say on this podcast, if you're listening for this long, you get a little sneak peek at Russell Muscle. I was fortunate enough to get a sponsor for my own YouTube channel. Devova Sports, they're great. I got some sunglasses, board shorts, compression socks,
Okay, yeah,
all that stuff. The sponsorship worked out to enough money where I'm reinvesting it all into a YouTube coach, which costed more than I wish it did. And I hope that turns out good, which is scary because technically it's free money because I made it through just making content, making videos. So if it was money from a real job, I would never have gone this invested into the channel. But because it was a sponsor, I feel like I might as well just invest it back into the channel and see where it goes. So right now I'm all into school and YouTube.
Damn, that's really good to hear. Yeah, reinvestment, I guess.
Yeah, I'm super scared about it. Like it.
Really?
Yeah, it's gonna be scary.
Well,
That's
best of luck.
yeah. Thank you. Where do you see yourself in 3 years after you graduate?
Honestly, I see myself. I've been thinking more about the summer, and I like biomedical engineering seems like a really like possible stream for me to go to as in a master's. And in terms of like living, I kind of want to live in Vancouver. I don't know what about it, but like I just kind of want to live there. So that's kind of where my future is right now.
Cool. And I think that's the end of the show. This was a really great one. Chang, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for coming on, Chang. We're gonna have to get you on again in the spring after the season.
This was a really great podcast. You can plug whatever you want now. Plug your Instagram, whatever.
Follow me at Chang Langers, or find me on Facebook, Elyott Chang, whatever works.
You gotta get on Twitter, Chang. Twitter's where it's at.
Oh, I'm also on Twitter, Chang Langers. I don't use it that often, but hey, I might make it come back.
There you go. And then you guys can find me and Josh in the description. This is a great episode. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe so you don't miss another podcast. I'm also making videos right now. We're on the come up, making big things coming soon. And comment down below any questions you have for future episodes. This has been the Splashboard Podcast, and peace!